Savvy Central Radio, drawing out the best from our guest, with your host, Christina Nitchman. Savvy Central Radio is home to over 100,000 listeners per month globally and runs in syndication on 8 AM and FM platforms, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out more about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out to the world, call 718 area code 713-2289 or email at savvycentralradio@gmail.com.
This is your host, Christina Nitchman. Each week, Savvy runs weekly broadcasts providing entrepreneurs and successful individuals a platform to express their dreams, hopes, lessons learned, expertise, and wisdom with the world. Our guest today is Kristen Owens. Kristen is known for creating a core foundation for women to develop a powerful mindset and unstoppable energy to cross any finish line with ease and confidence. Kristen empowers women worldwide to stop settling for mediocrity, overcome obstacles, and live in courage while kicking fear to the curb in a fun and inspiring way. Find out more about Kristen at KristenOwensCoaching.com. Hi, Kristen. Welcome to Savvy Central Radio. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Christina?
I'm doing fine today. I'm very happy to have you out today to join our audience. Tell everyone how you got started being a mindset mentor and into the world of coaching.
Absolutely. I'd love to. So I have been in the wellness industry for the last 20 years. And I started in the fitness industry, teaching fitness classes, personal training. I went to school for kinesiology and physiology, all that great stuff. Managed corporate fitness facilities for a number of years before I had kids. And nutrition had always been a passion of mine. And once I had my first daughter, who's almost 13, I really started getting into the area of holistic nutrition. And so being from Canada, we actually we have schools that focus on holistic natural nutrition. And so I was soaking up all the all the books and reading left, right, and center. I was just soaking it up. And so what happened was I naturally just gravitated to go to school for nutrition. And from there, I started working with clients in the areas of digestion and weight loss. And so what I started noticing was for a long time, women would either get results in the areas of weight loss, for example, because this is a big area, as you probably know, where, this is probably something that will always be growing, is women tend to, and not just women, but I'm going to use women because I tend to see a lot of women will either lose weight and then gain it back, or they'll have a really hard time losing weight and keeping it off. And so I started in my own journey. It was probably 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. My husband and I went to the Secrets to the Millionaire Mind Intensive with T. Harv Eker, and we actually started to really transform the way we thought, our thought patterns, our mindset, our words, and we started changing our relationship, realizing that we had a money story, never even knew what that was, and then we started to change the relationship we had with money, our money story, and realizing that our words and our thoughts created things. And so from there, continued in the industry and in the health industry. And then what started happening not too long ago, actually, I would say the last year or two, I started having, I would have women who I was working with weight loss. They were getting results because I was implementing what I was learning. I went to school for NLP, or went to do my NLP training and did a lot of work in my own personal life, ontological coaching. So I immersed myself into it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, this is what women need. This is what people need to really get results in their life in anything. And so that's why, as I said, women getting results in their weight loss. And then I started seeing women entrepreneurs coming to me, women that wanted to grow businesses. And I think it's probably because I'm surrounded by them and I am one myself. And so they started coming and I started working with entrepreneurs. And so this is what actually takes me into the area of success coaching and mindset coaching. So what I do now is, yes, I still see people that will come to me for health and for weight loss. But what you'll see as my website is coming to more to fruition, as it's under undergoing a facelift is I'm promoting to women business owners, entrepreneurs, women that want to grow and, really engulf that personal growth and to reach their dreams and to live the lives that they really desire, so that they're not settling for mediocrity and they're doing what they want to do in their life.
Wow, that is some journey there, Kristen.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting how one journey, like it seems really not connected through health, led you to now working with other business owners in the way of mindset. In actuality, I'm assuming this hits all areas of your life and not just business,
Absolutely,
but personal and weight loss and everything. Now, I know when we first spoke, you mentioned that you help your clients discover their protective default mechanisms, as you call them, the PDMs. What exactly is this?
So, very good question, because this is actually, when I work with women, this is the foundational principles, if you will, that I really help to uncover for women. So PDMs are protective default mechanisms, or strategies that we have created to protect ourselves from a bigger fear, like not being good enough, not lovable, like the deeper fears that typically hold us back from being visible. And when we're talking about entrepreneurs or anyone, but when we talk about entrepreneurs, especially putting ourselves out there, being visible in our business, doing the tasks that are necessary to move us forward instead of, feeling that resistance, because resistance is one of those PDMs that holds us back. But when we experience resistance or experience procrastination, for example, or, playing small, taking ourselves out of the game, that is there. It's a PDM because it's protecting us from a deeper fear or need, like not being good enough or, people pleasing. Usually there's an underlying root fear or need of people pleasing, or not people pleasing, but not being good enough or not lovable or that type of thing. It's usually one of those unworthy, unlovable. And so what I do is I help them to uncover what those PDMs are, because your PDM is when you are in a place of fear, not in a place of possibility, right? So what I do is we look at, the client and I will look at, okay, what do you do on a daily basis? So what are the patterns that you see that you run on a daily basis? Because just as you said, Christina, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you said probably if it's showing up in our health or our weight loss journey, it's going to be showing up in other areas of our life. So one of the things, like I said earlier, is people pleasing is actually one of the ones that I ran for a long time. That was a pattern for me. I would do, and I see this a lot with many women, is we people please. So we won't actually be focused on what it is that's right for us. We will do what we will do what we think is right for someone else, or will they not like me if I choose not to go out for dinner because that's the wrong restaurant and that's not going to be good for my program, because I'm looking to release weight. Or maybe it's, I don't really want to work at this job, but I know that, my husband or my spouse, that's what they want me to do because money's coming in. But what I really want to do is I want to grow my business. So what happens is we run into this pattern of people pleasing. It's not who we are, it's what we do. And then from there, of course, when you ask me about PDMs, I have to then follow with our essence and our true authentic self. So when we all have our essence, and I use the term essence, which is who you truly are, who you really are. And when I ask clients or in workshops that I lead, I'll lead them to going and asking, say in the workshop setting, there's 20 people there, for example, and what they'll actually do is they will actually go and ask each person, or at least 10 people in the workshop, who do you see? Or, basically, they're asking the person who they see and what actually shows up in a room when I show up in the room. So when you step into that room, what is it that you see? So when you're asking somebody else, so if I was to ask you, Christina, what do you see when I step in the room? We've never met in person before, only spoken a couple times on the phone, right? You could say to me, well, I see this and I see that. And I see, maybe energy or warmth or love, or it's usually something positive. So when you have have 10 people telling you these really beautiful words, that it's amazing the confidence that comes up. So what do we do with our essence? We find out what our essence is: friendly, vibrant, giving, confident, warm, intelligent, leader, integrity, whatever those words are. Usually we choose 5 of them. We will then, when we come up against our PDM, because it's a pattern we see in our life, what then happens is we ask ourselves the question, what would someone, let's say the essence word is confident, what would someone who is confident choose to do in this situation when confronted by fear, for example, right? So that's PDMs basically come from way back when we're between 0 and 7. It's what we do. It's not who we are. And it's easy to shift it to be able to get into more of a powerful place and live from a place of possibility as opposed to fear.
I can totally relate to a lot of what you're saying. And people pleasing has been something that I've had to guard myself from a lot. And I see from going even deeper and peeling back layers that it often for me comes about in wanting to fulfill a sense of worthiness.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What would you tell someone that comes to you and says, hey, I'm always people pleasing and I now realize it's about not feeling worthy? How would you tell them to approach this PDM?
Well, the first thing is I would probably look at, okay, again, because it's always about coming back to our essence. Everything should be coming from a place of essence. So it would be, really looking at, okay, what is a person's essence, and finding out firstly, what is your essence? Because when you are in your essence, there is no feelings of unworthiness can be present, because when you're in your PDM and you're people pleasing because of that unworthiness, what happens is you can either choose to stay there or shift it. So I would probably say, if I don't know the person's essence, I usually can sense from a person, or even, when we're talking to a person, you can sense about that person without even really knowing them. You can find something positive about that person because in every person, it is there. Sometimes for some people, it's harder to see than others, right? Especially if we're not, family members, that sort of thing, that we don't necessarily resonate with, but we can always find that essence in them. And I would ask them, if unworthiness was not an issue for you, because if they already know that, then I'm going to ask, well, then Christina, if unworthiness was not an issue or not even a problem, how would you go about this situation? How would you go about if, say, you were in that situation of people pleasing, whatever that might be? Because it's going to show up in your money story, in your health story, in your relationships. So every time you notice that rising up, because now people listening to our interview right now, I promise you, everyone listening, you are going to start noticing things popping up after this right now and after this call ends. And I want you to ask yourself, using people pleasing, so how would I go about this situation if unworthiness was not even an issue? Just reframing it altogether, reframing that question in your mind. Because what happens, Christina, is we're focused on, we focus on the people pleasing, and that's just what we do. It's a habit that we've ingrained. And so to change that habit, we have to recreate new neural networks in our brain. And as we create new neural networks in our brain, it becomes easier to no longer people please and choose to do what is right for us. And this is where I believe coaching and mentoring is so key, because most times the coach will see what's happening before the person can see that, or they're able to. When we're in our own stuff, it's hard for us to be able to get ourselves out of the stuff because we're in it. But when someone else sees it, they're able to, ask that question. Okay, so if unworthiness was not even an issue, wasn't even an issue, how would you then go about this situation? And usually the person will answer, well, I would do this. Or I would do this. And it just completely shifts the thinking in the brain, and it completely lifts them out of it. It's really cool how it works just by simple questions.
I like that reframing of questions, because I've often heard a number of coaches say, well, if you're in a sticky situation you're not happy with, what benefit are you getting from it? And that just it always irritates me, because I'm like, none. This sucks.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what, Christina, the thing is that sometimes you can't really see, everything's always a learning, but sometimes you can't see it when you're in it until later down the road, right? So yeah, that can be a very frustrating question, but if we can reframe, it makes, and the person's open, because sometimes if we're in a place of victim mode, which is where everything is happening to me versus, well, how can I take responsibility from this? This is very challenging for a lot of people. Then what happens is if we're in a place of responsibility, then we're able to answer those questions and be open to say, you know what can I do to move this forward? Because as we both know, we hear everywhere that if, the situation's not going to change, nothing's going to change until we change it. Yeah. It's up to us, right? So it's staying in that place of responsibility or at cause versus being in victim mode. Yeah. Because in victim mode, will just keep you going down the same hole and you get stucker and stucker. So these questions can help get you unstuck.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing even by victimhood, also you using shame and guilt against yourself is also staying in victimhood. Because some people say, well, look, I'm taking responsibility. I'm beating myself up. I made a whole bunch of mistakes. I did this. I did that. Yeah. That's actually staying in victimhood. You're actually not moving forward. You're staying as a victim, not taking responsibility.
Exactly. And you know what else? That's a good point, because what else is, I was just actually talking to a client about this, our last session with someone, and I said to her, is it more important for you to be right or to be, and it was around, she was coming specifically for money stuff, money blocks and all that kind of thing. And I said, is it more important for you to be right or for you to be wealthy? And then she was like, oh, right. Because she didn't realize that she was trying to be right. And so she was saying, oh, see, I do this and look I'm still in this situation. See, and then I did this and look at this. Now it's happening. So what is actually happening is they're maybe doing something, putting the actions in place or, looking at their mindset. But then what happens is then they want to prove, say to me, for example, they want to prove to me, well, look at this this wasn't going to work after all, because this is where I am still. But that's because they're staying in victim mode and they want to. And so the good question is, would I rather be right or would I rather be healthy? Would I rather be right or would I rather be wealthy, or would I rather be right or happy? Right? You can fit that in for anything. Yeah. So, yeah.
So basically, if anyone comes to you and says, hey, I tried what you told me to do, it's really a question of, okay, do you want to stay in that mode of victimhood or do you want to move forward? And so what would you tell someone is, I did what you said, but it's not working. Okay, I'm going to say, I'm not a victim right now. What do I need to think or be differently to get a different result? Or is there a better question to ask?
Well, so typically if they say I've been doing everything, usually if a person's saying that or asking that question, usually they're just even asking that question, they're still in victim. They just don't realize it. And so when, for example, I had a discovery call with a woman and in Texas, and she was saying, I said, what is your belief that this can happen for you? And she said, I said something like, what is your belief, or do you believe that this can happen? And she said, absolutely. I need that accountability. I need that help. So and I said, what are you willing to not do to move yourself forward? And she said, so you hear what I said? So what are you willing to not do? Yeah. And so she said, I'm willing to do what I need to do. That is somebody who's in responsibility, because if they say, oh, well, I won't do this, then usually I'm not going to be journaling. I'm not like this kind of thing. I'm not going to do this. Then if there's something, then it's like, okay, so how committed are you? I'm not willing to get up early in the morning to do this, to do this things I need to do. I work a full-time job and I want to grow my business, but I'm not willing to do X. Then we have to start questioning, okay, well, how ready are you? So when a person asks that question, usually that would tell me, okay, well, there's something that's standing in the way, because are you really ready? Because the ones that are really ready and get results, because when I work with people get results, but it's a relationship, right? So it's not just me. I don't even tell them what to do. they have to actually put everything into practice. It's very easy, and it can be very easy not to do. But when we're transforming those neural networks and reprogramming them in our brain, it requires us to be consistent and keep doing it because we're creating a new pathway. And so just like we know 21 days to create a new habit, it's because the reason that is, and that's scientifically proven, is because it takes 21 days for that new neural network to really ingrain. And I remember doing the T. Harv Eker intensive, and after that weekend, he gave us these journals, and there was a bunch of things that we had to do every single day, and working on the right brain, left brain, and all this exciting stuff. And so we had to do this he suggested, and we chose to do it. It was for 90 days, and we didn't have to. We chose to do it for 90 days. And after 90 days, basically it was reprogramming us to think a whole new way, because when you reprogram your mind and you step into responsibility and choose to do what you need to do or what is necessary to do, then what happens is you're putting yourself into a place where what's happening is energetically everything will start to align to create what it is that you're desiring. It just takes time and patience.
I like that you went there, because it recalls for me a number of people who've called me in the past just said, hey, I would like to come on, maybe do some advertising, whatever on Savvy, because they wanted to launch something or get the word out. But their kind of stance was, when we spoke deeper on it, was that the one interview or the one advertising campaign would really be all the work they need to do, and the phone would start ringing off the hook. And just like with coaching, as you mentioned, it's a relationship. It doesn't end with just hiring the coach. It's just the beginning. It's going to be a give and take.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing is, I find even when I was practicing as a nutritionist, people would come in and they wanted me to, they were thinking that I was going to change everything for them. But I mean, that's not how it works. So I'm very clear when I work with people. I started to be very clear when I was working with these nutrition clients, because I want to make sure, are we on the same plane here? Because I'm teaching you, but it's your responsibility. Like, if you're not releasing the amount of weight that you want, it's not my fault. And here, going back to what I was saying about the PDMs earlier, is I used to be in a place where I would feel guilty and it was my fault. And then my ontological coach said to me, she said, okay, well, why is it your fault that they're not doing the work? And so I started to realize that, and maybe that's part of the people pleasing thing, but I was putting the fault on me when she reminded me, this is a relationship together. And so you did your part and they chose not to do their part. And so I think that's very important is helping people to understand that when you're working with people, it is, and regardless of what it is, there's a relationship. So, and we have to both take responsibility.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
We both fulfill our parts. Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, I've heard you mention the importance of attitude, word, and mindset. How does all that play into your overall health and success?
Well, you know what? I believe that mindset is the foundation for every success. And, as a holistic coach, practitioner, nutritionist, one of the things I've always promoted is holistic, meaning the entire person, spirit, soul, and body. And so if we're missing that piece of, the emotions, what's going on underneath, and your mindset, the food and the exercise are just two pieces of the three pillars. And so attitude is so key, because if your attitude is, not so good, is lacking, some stamina there, then what happens is your attitude is connected to the mindset. And so your attitude is coming from, deeper down what's going on in the mindset. So we need to have a good attitude in whatever it is that we're looking to achieve, because obstacles will come, adversity will come. And if your attitude is what is going to take you to the other side, if you have an attitude that, oh my gosh, this is never going to get better, then you're right. If you have an attitude, and I teach my kids this, and the same thing, that you're right. So what is it? Do you want to cross over to the other side and have the victory? Well, then your attitude has to be that this is going to happen. Again, going back to responsibility, you have to choose to have a good attitude. And so if we've grown up in an environment where we're surrounded by people with not so great attitudes, then yeah, it's going to require us to work a little bit more diligently to transform that attitude, but it's possible. So attitude is key, and it's key to our success. And so even if there's nothing else anyone takes away from what we're talking about, just assessing your attitude and ask yourself, do I see the glass as half full or half empty? Do I see, what color of lenses of your glasses are you looking through? Is it rose colored, or is it, gray, murky colored? Because that, your attitude then, and what we're looking at, what color of glasses we're looking through, will then go back to our beliefs and what we believe, right? So we believe that we're going to be a success. Then what happens is, if you believe you're going to be a success and your business is going to be a success, or you're going to achieve your ideal weight or whatever it might be, or then what happens is it's going to be easier to have a positive attitude. So it all goes together. It's like a train.
Sure.
Yeah.
And in essence, you decide what your attitude will be. And from there, the results show up. And a good story about that, we had someone on last year who had gotten burned over 80% of his body. And so did the person next to him in the same hospital. And the guy next to him died. And he didn't. But he said, what I noticed about my attitude, I said, I'm getting better. I will walk again.
Yes.
I will. And the doctors kept saying, well, it's a hit and miss. You probably will never walk. And he's like, no, I will walk. I will do the work I did before I ended up here. And the person next to him just complained all day long and said, I'm dying. I'll never get better. And he didn't. So it kind of was a circle that led to the end result.
Yes. And you know what? That's a good point, because scientifically it's been proven that our brains are it's called neuroplasticity. So our brains are not constant and solid, they change. And so it's been proven that when and you just said this as an example, is when we are thinking thoughts of prosperity, health, positive thoughts, just like this gentleman did, it actually physically transforms your brain, and it transforms the cells in your body, and your brain starts to adapt to that. And so I think, what is statistics? I think it's like 90 up to 97% is related to your mindset. So it's a big, huge piece. No, that's not the only piece. Of course, it's what we put in our body, all that stuff. But our mind is probably our most powerful tool that we have. And unfortunately, a lot of people are using it to their disadvantage. Because if I was to ask everyone, actually, let's do this now. This is really cool. So let's just close our eyes. And I want you to picture right now a lemon in front of you. And I'm handing you a lemon, and it's not cut open, it's just there. And look at that lemon, look at the color of the lemon. And now I cut the lemon open. Just watch me cut it open and notice all the juice kind of spray. Mm-hmm. And now just visualize that and notice what's happening in your mouth. And then as I'm handing this lemon to you, and now take a bite out of that lemon, what happens to your mouth?
Yeah.
Exactly. See? Yeah. So what happens is you just visualized it. It didn't happen. You just visualized it. And look how your physiology changed because you visualized it.
Yeah, I've heard your brain can't tell the difference, really.
No.
Yeah.
So, that's scientifically proven. So that's why then it's important for us to use our brain and of course, we have to have goals. We got to have those goals. We can't just sit there and visualize all day. But the fact of the matter is, our physiology changes. The brain changes according to what the mind is focusing on. It's very cool. I love it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I don't want us to end here. We're coming to the end of our time together without you telling everyone how they can get a hold of you, work with you, and tell them some fun stuff you have coming up in your business.
Yeah. So I am at Kristen, Kristen Owens, Owens, and then the word coaching, COACHING.com. And when anyone going to the page there, you'll see it's a holding page. But at that page, my new website is getting ready. You can actually receive my free book. And that really is about 7 keys that will help you step out of your way and stop taking yourself out of the game and step into your power. And so this is how you can really become unstoppable. Remember, it's about taking consistent action that you're going to see results. And now keep in mind with this book, it's not long and drawn out. It's very short. Like every day you can read like a section, like the first key, for example, is not long. Really soak it in and then put the action step to work because it works. And it's about doing this consistently. So you can go ahead and grab that. Any questions, please feel free to email me at info@KristenOwensCoaching.com. You can connect with me on Facebook. And then what do I have coming up? So one of the goals I have, probably more next year, is I want to write an actual hardcover book. I also am putting into developing right now a 90-day online program. And I'm looking at launching that in January, all around mindset detox, helping you set yourself up for success. It's foundational principles. And then also another exciting thing for me, I love TV. I love media. I do host a TV show called Health Matters here in Toronto area. And so I want to actually create an online TV show. So that's kind of in the near future. I've got to take one thing at a time. So I do it, the best and with excellence instead of doing everything at once. So that's another exciting thing that I have on the go as well.
Yay. Well, I'm looking forward to checking out your book, actually.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, please go to KristenOwensCoaching.com. And I want to thank you again, Kristen, for coming on and sharing your gifts and wisdom on Savvy Central Radio today.
Thank you so much for having me, Christina.
Our Savvy shows are being syndicated on 7 AM FM radio channels through AM FM 247. If you're away from your radio or internet, don't worry. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, you can listen to Savvy Central Radio on AM FM 247 Broadcasting Network by calling 712-832-2784 from any phone. Calls have no additional cost and just use your mobile minute. So save the number to your phone, 712-832-2784.